Welcome to Module 14, the final module of this course. You've learned everything you need to know about seller financing for land. You know how to screen buyers, structure deals, manage documents, and sell notes. Now I want to talk about working together. I want to show you how my full-service note buying program can make your life easier and your business more profitable. This is about options. You can do everything yourself, or you can let me handle the heavy lifting while you focus on finding and flipping properties. Let me show you both paths. You have two options for how you use seller financing in your land business. Option one, do it yourself. You take everything you've learned in this course and implement it yourself. You create your own loan documents or work with an attorney. You manage the title company relationships. You coordinate all the moving parts. You either hold the notes for passive income or you find note buyers to sell them to. This is a perfectly valid approach. Many investors love having complete control over every aspect of their business. They want to understand every detail, manage every relationship, and keep everything in-house. If that's you, great. This course has given you everything you need to succeed. Option two is work with me. This is what I call the easy button for seller financing. You still use seller financing to attract buyers and sell properties faster. But instead of handling all the documentation and coordination yourself, you hand it off to me. And I buy your note at closing. I provide all the documents. I coordinate with the title company. I handle the buyer screening and paperwork. You focus on finding properties, marketing them, and negotiating deals. And I handle everything else. Let me break down exactly what this looks like. When you work with me, here's what I do. First, I buy your note at closing so that you net between 84 and 90% of your sale price, depending on the down payment and the strength of the deal. This is market rate or better for well-structured land notes, and I'm buying them at closing, whereas most note buyers require seasoning or a certain number of on-time payments before they will buy the note. Second, I provide all the loan documents, the promissory note, the deed of trust or mortgage, all the closing paperwork. You don't have to hire an attorney or coordinate with a doc prep company. I handle it. Third, I provide all the transfer documents needed to assign the note from you to me at closing. This is seamless. The title company handles the recording, but I provide the paperwork. Fourth, I coordinate with the title company. I work directly with them to make sure all the documents are correct, all the terms are accurate, and the closing goes smoothly. You're not spending hours on the phone with title agents. Fifth, I handle all the buyer screening and paperwork. I verify their credit and make sure they qualify for the loan. You're not chasing down Credit Karma screenshots or pulling credit reports. And sixth, I wire funds directly to you as soon as the deal closes. Sometimes same day, sometimes next day, depending on when the closing happens. But you get paid fast. What does this mean for you? You focus on what you do best: finding properties, marketing them, and negotiating deals. I handle all the heavy lifting. Let me make this really clear. Your role: find and market properties, talk to buyers, negotiate the purchase price, down payment, and basic terms. Show up to closing and get paid. My role: provide you with bids, handle all the paperwork, all the coordination, all the buyer screening, all the title company communication, all the document preparation, all the heavy lifting. The result: you make the same money or more, you sell properties 2 to 3 times faster than cash only, and you spend zero time on the administrative nightmare that is seller financing paperwork. Zero hassle, maximum profit. Let's talk about the actual numbers so you can see what you'd make. You have a $100,000 property. You find a buyer willing to put down $20,000. You keep 100% of that $20,000 down payment. That's yours. The loan balance is $80,000. I buy that note from you at closing for 80 to 85%, depending on the strength of the deal. Let's say 85%. That's $68,000. Total cash you receive at closing, $20,000 down payment plus $68,000 for the note equals $88,000. Now let's compare that to selling for cash. A cash buyer would want at least a 10% discount. You get $90,000. But it would take you 6 months or more to find that buyer. With seller financing and working with me, you got $88,000, only $2,000 less, but you sold it in 2 months instead of 6 or more. Similar money, 2 to 3 times faster sales. And I do all the work. That's the value proposition. Now, let me tell you the real world benefits I see with the investors I work with. First, they sell properties faster. The seller financing advantage attracts 10 times more buyers. Properties that would sit for months sell in weeks. Second, they get immediate cash to reinvest. They're not waiting years for a note to pay off. They're getting paid at closing and immediately buying the next property. Third, no document preparation headaches. They're not spending hours researching state-specific promissory notes or deed of trust requirements. I handle that. Fourth, no title company coordination. They're not going back and forth with title agents about document corrections or closing schedules. I manage that. Fifth, no servicing setup. They're not researching servicers, setting up accounts, or managing monthly payment tracking. Not their problem. Sixth, no buyer screening stress. They're not pulling credit, reviewing bank statements, or trying to determine if a buyer qualifies. I handle all of that. Seventh, no risk of default. If the buyer ends up defaulting 1 to 2 years into the loan, that is 100% my problem. They have already been paid and moved on to the next deal. They focus on what they do best, finding deals. I handle the rest. Now, here's why this creates such powerful synergy for active land investors. Volume beats margin when you can move quickly. Plus, you save countless hours on paperwork and coordination. Hours you could spend finding more deals, talking to more sellers, or just living your life. This is why active land investors love working with note buyers. It's not about squeezing every last dollar out of every deal. It's about turning capital faster and doing more deals. Now, if you're a wholesaler, I have a special program that solves a major problem. When you're doing a double closing the seller financing, you need same-day transactional funding. You need to buy the property from the original seller and immediately sell it to your buyer with financing, all on the same day. I can provide transactional funding for these deals. This prevents you from having to use the buyer's down payment funds to pay the original seller, which creates legal and ethical issues. It makes your wholesale deals cleaner and easier. I handle all the complexity. You just need to coordinate the timing and make sure everyone's at the table. If you're wholesaling with seller financing, this program makes it work. Now, let me tell you about my track record. I've purchased over 150 land notes. I've worked with investors across the country. I know the process well. I know what works. I know how to close deals smoothly and quickly. And I'm always interested in purchasing good land notes. If you set up the deal correctly, good buyer, good credit, substantial down payment, proper structure, I'm always interested. But my support doesn't end with buying notes. I can provide advice on when to sell versus when to hold your note. Sometimes holding makes more sense, and I'll tell you that. I provide resources and ongoing support. If you have questions about seller financing, call me. Wondering how something works in a specific state? Call me. I can refer you to a foreclosure attorney if you ever need one. I know attorneys across the country who specialize in creditors' rights. If you have a default situation, I can point you in the right direction. I can share state-specific experiences and guidance based on my experiences. I've seen deals in most states. I know the quirks, the timing, the challenges, and I can help you navigate them. This isn't just a transactional relationship. This is ongoing support for your seller financing business. So if you're ready to get started, here's what I want you to do. If you're interested in working together, contact me anytime. My number is 302-526-0200. Call me or text me at this number anytime. Either way works. Let's discuss your next deal. Tell me about the property. Tell me about the buyer. Tell me about the terms. Let's figure out if it makes sense to work together. Let's see how we can turn your land sales into immediate cash while I handle all the heavy lifting. This is about making your business easier and more profitable. If that's something you want, let's talk. Remember, you have two options. Do it yourself using everything you learned in this course, or work with me and let me handle the heavy lifting. Both are valid, and both work. But if you want the easy button, immediate cash at closing, no paperwork hassles, faster sales, I'm here to help. I want to thank you for taking this course. You now know more about seller financing for land than 99% of investors out there. Go use this knowledge, build your business, and if you want support along the way, you know where to find me. Now let's go make some money.